The more hits we play, the more hits we get. URLradio.net. Stacy Sturm.
Michael Cashy.
Okay, let's talk about Prohibition. This is one of your favorite topics. In fact, is it September?
I don't know, because we're doing that. Are we doing a double issue?
No. We're just going to do a smaller August one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Shit.
Yeah, remember Nikki and I were talking about that. You're like, that kind of messes up my whole thing. I'm like, okay, that's not... We can do it. We're going to have a small August issue. It's going to be maybe 12, 14 pages, not 52 like our last one. Our last one was ridiculous.
Well, shit, I should start writing it then.
Mm-hmm. Because you now have a week deadline.
Oh my god. I'm so screwed. Well, I'll do it this week.
Yeah.
Then yes, in September I'll start my Prohibition series.
Okay, yeah. Well, either way, you were going to start it in September anyway, weren't you?
Well, I wouldn't have finished the Absent series then.
Okay.
Oh, that or it would have had to been like a 20-page article.
Gotcha.
Which
it still can.
Possible. Right?
Yeah, I think they call that like a term paper, though. But anyway, yeah, so your September article for the e-magazine is going to be on Prohibition.
Can you plagiarize yourself? Say I would submit one of these papers, one of these articles as like a freaking paper for school.
No, because you have the rights to it. It's your stuff. You can submit it to whoever you want to, unless you don't have ownership of it anymore. Like, let's say you sell it to the New York Times, or no, okay, you gave it to me. And you're in a contract where you can't give it to anybody else. And then you decide you're going to sell it to the New York Times because the New York Times saw it and they're like, we really want to reprint this. We love it. And then technically you're not plagiarizing, though. It's not plagiarism. It's just something else. Yeah.
Perfect.
Copyright. Anyway.
I'm just going to start freaking submitting all of the other stuff that I've written multiple times.
For school?
Yep, that's how I'm going to get my degree.
I remember in school, I did ask a professor about this. I did a paper in English like my sophomore year. And then a very similar paper I did for English my senior year. Like, I was like, this is basically the same topic that I'm going to do. Can I just resubmit this paper? And they're like, whatever. Okay. I submitted my senior thesis in high school for one of my communication classes in college.
Mine was on the Kennedy assassination, so it'd work.
Do you know what mine was on?
I don't know, being a Wiccan.
You're so close.
Being Catholic?
No. It was on body language, another form of communication.
Oh.
Yeah.
Worst Wiccan ever. Stacy the Whack Wiccan. The Whack White Wiccan.
The Whackin'. You weren't a Wiccan, Sturm. You were a Whackin'. I was a Wiccan for 2 weeks.
That Ty's whacking.
We're not even going to talk about that. Okay. Anyway, Prohibition. These are some of the unintended consequences of Prohibition. We're going to do...
Mexicans, as Donald Trump would say. Mexicans and Muslims.
In January 1920, Prohibition came into effect, outlawing the manufacturing, transportation, and sale of alcohol in the United States. The U.S. government fully expected that people would carry on as normal and find new ways to spend their time. But that didn't happen. Many unintended and unexpected consequences unfolded. So the first one is organized crime flourished. It's argued that not only did Prohibition provide organized crime syndicates with a gap in the market in the 20s, but it also increased their wealth and influence, which in turn allowed them to continue their ventures in other areas once the ban on alcohol was lifted.
It just gave them the market.
It basically gave them control of the country. Prohibition essentially bankrolled organized crime's expansion.
Shit. Freaking Harding had the Attorney General was running a bootlegging ring.
That's one of the things down on the list, too.
The Teapot Dome scandal?
It was more of like of a generalized thing, but yeah. Next, Prohibition criminalized everyday people. The apparent assumption that the vast majority of people would simply abstain from alcohol once Prohibition was enacted couldn't have been more couldn't have missed the mark any more than it did.
Well, you were still allowed to have alcohol. You were still allowed to consume alcohol.
Yeah.
You just weren't allowed to buy or sell
you couldn't
or
manufacture it, yeah. It should be noted that consuming alcohol during Prohibition was not illegal, nor was possession of it. The manufacturing, transportation, and sale of it were. This lack of clarity led to several loopholes and gray areas, and they were exploited unwittingly or not. It's not a very good policy they had.
Go get yourself a freaking prescription for some whiskey.
All right. Next, the rise of cocaine and heroin. Cocaine was taken by people in the United States long before Prohibition came into effect, but it experienced a spike in popularity in the 1920s, particularly among the jazz scene. Whether or not that was due to the Prohibition or pure coincidence is unclear. The U.S. government was at least aware of the possibility that people who would have previously consumed alcohol were now turning to cocaine and harder substances. An article that appeared in the Literary Digest in April of 1921 stated that the Board of Health of every state was sent a questionnaire to try to establish if there had been a rise in narcotic and habit-forming drugs since Prohibition came into effect. Much like Prohibition contributed to the rise of organized crime, it also assisted in opening the door to the spread of harder drugs like cocaine and heroin.
See, you make something illegal, people are going to do something worse. So, you know what?
They're not just going to stop doing things.
Let's make marijuana illegal, because then they're going to stop doing harder shit.
Right. Well, right now it's all illegal, and people still do it anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
No, they do it. Pot was legal, you wouldn't be having this like freaking salvia or whatever it is. Bath
salts and all sorts of issues now. Marijuana laced with all sorts of other crap now.
Fentanyl's the big one.
Fentanyl, and then there's another thing I saw that they were lacing marijuana with.
One of the worst freaking prescription drugs you can get.
They've banned it in Europe, I think, didn't they?
I think so.
If I remember right, when I read it, they banned fentanyl in Europe because so many people are dying from it. It's too easy to overdose on.
Freaking body chemistry changes a little bit, which it does daily.
Yeah.
You can OD on the prescribed amount.
You know, more people die from prescription drug overdoses than regular drug overdoses.
Oh yeah.
Sad. Anyway, okay. There was a rise in alcohol consumption and alcoholism. So they didn't stop it. In fact, they amped it up. Opinion seems to be split on whether consumption increased or decreased during Prohibition. The main reason for this is that illegal sales of alcohol were not declared to the government. And consequently, no accurate data was kept. Do you say data or data? I'm hit and miss. Depends on what I say before it. If I say data, I feel like I'm talking Star Trek.
If I'm talking Star Trek, it's data. Otherwise, it's data.
Many people were also making their own alcoholic drinks at home, which, again, were not officially declared. Like, it's okay. Even the data that is available has to be studied within certain caveats. It did appear that problems with alcohol were worse by the mid-20s, as they were the previous decade. It's possible that alcoholics would have been hit hardest, but they suffered in silence for the most part because they didn't want to go get help. Last one before we take a break.
Good Lord.
Sorry. It was some interesting eye candy walking by the studio. And not when I say eye candy, I mean like... Do you know what Sour Candy Day?
I don't know what that means.
Sour candies. We're celebrating sour candies today.
Yay.
It's National Sour Candy Day.
Good Lord. It's a day for everything.
There honestly is. Have you seen National Day calendar? Should I tell you what day it is today?
Freaking National Poop Your Pants Day.
That is Saturday, June 14th.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, and last unintended consequence of Prohibition. Long-lasting corruption. This is what you were talking about before. Part of the reason that organized crime syndicates and bootleggers were so successful in supplying their goods was the fact that they had people in their pocket. They had bribed key people in positions of power and responsibility. Some of those ties made during the 1920s lasted for years after Prohibition ended. The manner in which those ties were achieved has been replicated for generations. Criminal organizations could have hundreds, even thousands of people on their books. Policemen, politicians, judges, even federal agents all played a part in an alcohol black market. There would be advance warnings on planned raids on saloons, and evidence would simply disappear. If cases did make it to court, it wasn't unheard of for judges to simply dismiss all the charges and just throw the case out.
Mm-hmm.
Because they needed to get their alcohol from somebody. I can't put you in the clink. And the clink, I like that. I feel like I'm in the 20s.
And then Kevin Costner came in and saved us all.
The Bodyguard?
Yes.
I love that movie. You know what?
I'm just a postman. I'm just a mailman.
Love you. So those are the ones we're going to do for now. We'll take a break and then we'll come back and we'll do the last 5. If that works for you. You're just not with me today.
I'm very
at
tired.
all. You are just not engaging in life.
Beat.
I feel like I need to life coach you today. I can't. You know what? My back is sore today. I can't carry you anymore.
I need to refill my cup.
You need.
I need to go cleanse, detox, and CrossFit.
That's the thing.
Need to go CrossFit real quick.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to finish up the unintended consequences of Prohibition. And if there's a song you want to hear, email me, Stacy, at urlradio.net.
Ugh.
That's Stacy. Why do you always look at me and do that? Even when I don't have the dog.
Because you're usually doing something gross.
urlradio.net.